This is Steve Ridgell, and you can't make this stuff up. I read the other day about, with a whole bunch of people watching, people in Hawaii were trying to find a tour event, and they put it in their GPS, and either entered it wrong or the GPS was wrong, but they drove down onto a boat pier and drove right off into the water. The people watching, witnesses, said they were still smiling and talking to each other, and just they were so sure it was right. They drove right into the water. Now, fortunately, one of the passengers was able to get out and they were able to rescue the other people. But who does something? Who trusts GPS so much you would drive into the ocean thinking you were right? I better not laugh too hard, because you know what? You see so much of that in our world. I live in the United States. I'm here in Texas, and it's political season coming up, and I hear people stand up with a straight face and say, I know what's best. I would never lie. I never did. I will do. And I'm listening to them thinking, none of that's right. And then I watch people just blindly follow them. Or, boy, how many of us have made a mess of our lives by, well, I know I'm right. I can make my life just like it ought to be. So off we go, living our life in control, to realize we have no control over anything. We just don't. You don't control, to a large extent, you don't control other people, even though we try. You don't even control yourself most of the time. You don't control the weather. You don't control the economy. You get the idea. And we're so sure we can control things. You ever try to raise kids? I can control the outcome of how... No, you can't. They grow up. So many things we think we're in charge of. Well, I'm going to tell you, there is one way you can be sure you're going the right way. That's to follow God. Now, you're going, oh yeah, of course, that's what you Christians say. Well, we say it because we absolutely believe it. I believe it to be true. I believe I absolutely can trust God to know us. He made me. He knows how I work. He loves me so much He let His Son die for me. God knows what's best for me. He does. And He even wrote a book so I can know how life plays out, the story of Him and His people, and I'm part of that. How great is that? Well, there's some things in the Bible I just don't believe. Okay, fine. Drive your car the way you want to drive it. And maybe there's no God and you'll never have to worry about it. Or if there is a God, maybe when the judgment day comes, you'll say, well, you know what, God, I know what you said, but I knew better. And maybe you'll get away with that. Or maybe you'll say, hey, God, I know what you said, but I thought it was better too. And He'll say, don't worry about it. But maybe all that's right. He doesn't say that, by the way. And I'm just kind of struck by how many of us just assume we know the right way, we're so much smarter than everybody, and we kind of blindly follow a default GPS system. As for me, I'm going to try to follow God, and I would encourage you to do the same, because I promise you this, it will get you where you want to go. And for me, where I want to go is to be with God forever and to live with Him forever. This is Steve Ridgell telling you, well, one thing I've learned, I'm going to pay a little more attention to my GPS so I don't look like that. And number two, that I'm going to follow God.